There's already people fighting in the comments, and we've literally just started. Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Match Reaction on the Rangers Rabble podcast. Dumbarton 1, Rangers 4. We're comfortably through to the 5th round of the Scottish Cup. The draw will be made tomorrow. Guys, Craig, Davie, hello, welcome back. Hello, everybody watching. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you're on YouTube, and the rest on the other socials. I don't know why I'm rushing to get in to talk about this game, because I missed half of it. Not through my fault or my internet's fault or the TV's fault. No, because somebody didn't bring a cloth to wipe a camera. So I missed half the game. So I apologise to everybody watching if I get some stuff wrong here. Davie, we won. No injuries, apart from one, which didn't happen in Dumbarton, but we'll talk about that in a wee minute. Job done.
Job done is about as positive as you can be about that. As you say, it was a hard watch on the telly, not least because who the pundits and commentary team was, never mind the camera lens. So it was just an enduring 90 minutes all in. But, you know, we're on the road towards the final now. That was the first one in the bag. So we just need to keep progressing. The kind of things that we spoke about pre-match all came to fruition. Dessers, the enigma that he can be, you know, chances that he always gets chances, and then, you know, he'll inevitably, you know, put one away the minute everybody's on his back, and then conceding another set piece goal, you know, as I'm sure we'll come on to analyse in greater detail. But it's a win, and that's as positive as we can be.
I mean, you say analyse in greater detail. I think you're giving us slightly too much credit, by the way. I don't think we've ever analysed anything on the Rabble in great detail, otherwise it wouldn't be called the Rabble. Craig, what's your thoughts then before we delve into and overanalyse the performance? What's your thoughts on that 90 plus minutes?
On the whole, it was a bit of a slog. I think I commented after about 15 minutes that it felt like the game had been an error already. It didn't seem like it had been 15 minutes. And if we had a striker who could put at least half of his chances away, we'd probably been 4 or 5 up at half time. Although I was expecting his overhead kick to go in the top corner, the sort of half that he'd had. Yeah, it was just one of those that, like I said before the game, get through, get a few goals. But ultimately, the big thing is, all being well, get through with no injuries.
We're going to come back to this, right? And Nicolas stubborn. Alan McCoist missed plenty. The rest is history. This is different. We'll come back to that, but we'll just start with this, right? Because there's a few people comment, and I don't know if Venom's seen the news yet, but he's saying Sima coming home will push us signing another striker even more. Oh no, sorry, I read that comment wrong. My apologies, Venom. Right, Davie. Abdallah Sima sent home from the African Cup of Nations with a thigh injury. No idea how bad it is yet. But the curse continues.
Well, there we go. And Sima, who was being a bit part squad player, you know, in there, probably on merit for his performances, but there is a squad filler for Senegal. You know, no played a minute, probably wouldn't have played a minute, and there he is. You know, we're out one of your most important players. And we don't know how long we're going to miss him for. I mean, Sima, above his goal contributions, is a workhorse. He'll give you 110% every game, you know, going forward and tracking back. You know, I actually think he's helped Barisic when Barisic has played this season, because he's covered for his, you know, his shortcomings. But it's a massive miss for us. You know, he's industrious, yes, and sometimes things don't always work out for him, but he seems to have a knack of being in the right place at the right time, and that is something that you can't teach. And when he scores a goal 9 times out of 10, it's an absolute belter of a goal as well. So massive loss for us, and a massive loss for the balance and the shape of the team under Clement, the way that he wants to play football. I see Sima as a massive part of that.
Well, I 100% agree, Craig. And it's not, the problem isn't always if somebody gets an injury. No, I don't mean that in a Rangers context, because it's not just 1 or 2 people for us that get injuries. It seems to be near enough the full squad, right? But who replaces Sima? You know, who takes up that berth, the industrialness, the non-stop? Because but there is games where Sima technically is honking, right? None of us are going to sit here and say that he's a phenomenal football player every single game. He's not, but he always puts in a shift, and then when he's on form, he's really really good. So who replaces him?
For that side, there's nobody that can replace him because what he gives to the team is he's irreplaceable. You'd say you maybe put Matondo in, but Matondo doesn't do half the work that Sima does. Ryan Kent didn't do half the work that Sima does when he was here. So I don't think you can replace him. And I'm just hoping, praying that when he comes back, the outlook isn't as bad as everyone seems to be saying. It might just be that he's out for the remainder of the tournament and hopefully back in a few weeks.
Yeah, and hopefully we hear about that, and we'll probably discuss more of that on Monday night's phone. And right, okay, Davey, in terms of the game, it took us a wee while to get the goal, but I don't want to sit here and go and you know have that looking out over ivory tower at the as we're the biggest team in Scotland and stuff like that, and complain about lower league grounds and that, and try and use that as an excuse for us maybe not scoring goals because we had the chances to score goals regardless of how poor the pitch was. But Davey, that was one horrendous football pitch.
Absolutely, Martin. I mean, you were literally seconds into the game, and this kickoff was taken, and both sort of players were moving about the pitch. You could see it cutting up in front of you. Well, for what you could see for the camera lens, there's just bits of grass flying up in the air. And honestly, the old expression "quagmire" comes into, you know, because that's exactly what it was. It was just horrendous to watch, pathetic viewing, and obviously they are a League Two side, so you know it fit into the team, but I mean it didn't make for any exciting football at all. The first goal, I kind of think, is sort of symptomatic of that. It's a hopeful corner in for Cantwell, and it's a looped header for John Suter, just hoping, you know, that it goes into the right area of the pitch. And credit to John Lundstrom for being on the end of it. I mean, you know, he follows it in. I don't know if it's the left back for them, but he's sort of sleeping at the back post, and Lundstrom goes in, and he must have been a hefty price for first goal scorer because I don't think too many people were expecting John Lundstrom to be on the back of the net today.
No, they most certainly wouldn't have. But just quickly on the pitch, then, Craig, I don't actually think, bar finishing, of course, that we played that bad. I thought that our ability to get the ball down, pass it, you know, create triangles, movement, setting up chances on that pitch, I actually thought we looked okay. Or am I just seeing things?
No, I mean when we started, I thought we'd quickly revert to long balls and trying to overcome the pitch, but we didn't. We did try and play, and I think it was just a case of some of the things that the players were trying was then hindered by the pitch. So Matondo goes on a couple of runs, and the ball just doesn't follow him. So it's not like he's waiting for the balls over the top and just hit and hope. Although obviously the goal, I don't think it was a hit and hope corner. I think it was played into an area that weirdly we don't tend to do a lot of in-swinging corners. And look what happens when we do an in-swinging corner and we get a goal from it. And I actually thought at first that on the first viewing, I thought Lundstrom had just pressured the defender and it was an own goal. But looking back, it does actually go over the defender's head and Lundstrom's there to nod it in.
After that in swinging corner that led to a goal. See, after that, what did we do then, Craig? Did we continue with the in swinging corner because it worked, or did we go back to the outswinger?
It was a bit of both because there were occasions in the second half where we did put the odd in swinger in, but it was generally outswingers, which
Smart.
we're not actually taking advantage of it.
No, it's quite clever. Just confuse them. Oh, right, okay. Outswingers don't work, so they won't do that. No, we will. Quick question from RFC 56, Davey. If we could only sign 2 players, what position do you want?
I probably have to say at the moment a striker, and I was going to opt for a creative midfielder before the window started, but see now has to be a winger, Martin, because see the ones that we've got at the moment aren't good enough. They're no good enough. With Sima missing with injury, you can't rely on Scott Wright and Robbie McCrorie as your fillers to try and take you towards a treble, a championship, and further in Europe. We need a bit more quality in the final third because it's sadly lacking. Although we scored 4 goals today, with the chances we created, we could have scored upwards of 7, 8, 9, and we just have poor quality in key positions at the moment.
Would you go along with that, Craig? It's, for me, the question was asked what positions. Striker and a striker.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was sat there thinking striker and striker. Yes, we do need players in other positions, but after today, I think it's very much apparent that we do need two strikers that are going to come in and score goals. Because I think putting the pressure on one striker, yes, probably could do it, but you want to vary it, or you want to mix it up a little bit, and I think we definitely need 2.
Yeah. Listen, I would 100% agree with that. We say that, Craig, right? Dessers. Let's discuss Cyriel Dessers quickly. I hate being negative. I think I say this every time I'm about to criticise somebody, because who am I? I'm a fat guy that lives in Hamilton sitting on a computer, so who am I to criticise anybody who plays professional football, really, right? He missed some horrendous chances, Craig, in that first half. And all I seen in social media was people slating him. I was slating him myself. And then he scores. Now, tell me if I'm just being overcritical here, right? But it's a fantastic ball in for the captain, as 9 times out of 10 you get in situations like that. And it's almost as if he mishits it to score. Now, it might just be being overcritical, and it might actually have been a fantastic finish. But Cyriel Dessers, Craig, you know how, in school, when you used to get exams, and if it was English or whatever, and it would say a question, and then it would just say underneath it, discuss. Craig, Cyriel Dessers, discuss.
Yeah, not good enough to play for Rangers, in my opinion. Misses way too many chances. That yes, Ali McCoist missed chances, but he didn't miss the types that Dessers does. I mean, there was one first early on where he puts it almost into the outside the stadium. Even the one where he's offside, he puts that over the bar, and you're just thinking, is it going to be one of those days? The one thing I will give him, and this is one positive, and this is compared to Sam Lammers, is I don't think he hides. I think he's still in the game. He's still trying. It's just not good enough, and that's why we do desperately need at least 1, if not 2 strikers. He should be the striker that is coming on with 10 minutes left to sort of see out the game, or coming on to sort of change formation, not the person that's starting the games.
I mean, yeah, Davie, I'm trying to think back while I'm doing this, right? And it's quite difficult for me to think on what I'm doing, never mind try to think 2 things at one time, right? And I before we started, I was going to come on, I was going to go just both barrels. Cyriel Dessers, just horrendous. Not good enough for Rangers. He's a terrible striker at this level. I'm always of the opinion that if you play professional football, then you're not a terrible player because you're playing professional football. But then I'm thinking, Davey, how many goals is that he's scored now? And how many assists does he have? So help me out.
No, again, it's a fair point, Martin. He does, as Craig says, he keeps putting himself back in the mix. He doesn't hide or shy away from, chances, but we are creating so many chances that he's afforded the luxury and missing them. And there's games at Rangers where you cannot afford to miss that chance because it could be a tight game away at Pittodrie or at Easter Road, or you might only get that one chance at Parkhead. You have got to be clinical and take it. And Cyriel Dessers is not a clinical striker by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of the Michael Beale summer purchases need to be investigated by trade and standards because we did not get what we were promised. and Dessers is prime example with that. Now,
sorry, this has just come into my head, Davey, right? And I need to ask, do we have that reaction Look, I get the point that, you know, in some games you'll have loads of chances. So if it takes you 4 or 5 to score, that's fine, right? Other games, i.e. against Celtic, he's through on goal. He's got to score or he's got to do better. Do we have this reaction to Dessers simply because of the way he looks when he misses those chances and how sometimes, and I'm contradicting my own statement from before, but sometimes when he's on the ball or he's going to take a shot through and goal, he looks as if he's never played football before. Do you think that's why we kind of have this reaction? Because there's been plenty of strikers throughout the years who have played in big games, and just take a Rangers Celtic game, for example, and the striker's had one chance and he's not scored. And there's never been this kind of vitriolic reaction. If you consider how many goals and assists that Dessers actually has, for the reaction that we have as a support towards him, do you think it's just purely because of the way that he's looked awful?
Well, price tags don't help players, as we know, when it comes to Tor Andre Flo being the prime example. His goals to game ratio for Rangers is excellent. It's up there with one of the best if you sit and analyse it. But did Rangers get £12 million worth of value out of Tor Andre Flo? No would be the answer to that
I'll
question.
disagree with that.
Well, you know, how many championships did Rangers win when Tor Andre Flo was signed for that money? I don't think Rangers won a championship until Tor Andre Flo left. So
look at the goals to games ratio, but it was worth the money.
Well,
I'm only joking, by the way. I'm just trying.
All right, that's fine. No, but when it comes to Dessers, when it's for lesser money, and you've seen his track record in terms of you're looking at 10 goals in, you know, the Europa Conference League inaugural season of it, you're kind of thinking he's got to have some pedigree. But your eyes don't lie. You're watching what you see in front of you. And he's no contributing in the manner that you expect a Rangers striker to. Now, Alfredo Morelos was much maligned towards the end of his career, but Morelos bullied centre halves. He was hungry in games. He took
how far away, Davie, is Cyriel Dessers this season from Alfredo Morelos' best scoring season?
He's probably maybe only now I would imagine 8 goals behind it.
And by the way, I'm not sitting here saying that Dessers is good enough for Rangers. I don't think he is, right? I'm just trying to make the point of our reaction as supporters, and I'm guilty of it myself, but our reaction of supporters towards him, surely there's got to be more than just we don't think he's good enough to play for Rangers.
No, but then you need to look at the opposition tonight. He was playing against Dumbarton, which is, you know, part-time players.
He scored.
And he did score, but as you said, he scored with a sort of miss-hit strike that went past.
In the back of the net.
And it's a fair point, but for what we need going forward in terms of winning as a championship, can Cyriel Dessers be that striker that takes us to the title? No, because he doesn't do it in the games that matter, and he doesn't do it regularly enough. He doesn't look hungry enough. He's so cumbersome. He's so slow. He doesn't give us what we need. He's not going to be somebody that you can rely on. He's going to be somebody that it might work out for him now and again. This is the game it's going to work out for him. But then the next game, he's going to have an absolute nightmare. And Rangers, you know, we can't rely on that type of striker. We need somebody that you can guarantee is going to do it for you. And he is not that guy.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. Hold on. Ian, I don't know if you've watched the Rabble before, right? And I apologise if you have, and I've just not seen your name in the comments. Nobody in our comment section slags Sibo, right? Just you leave Philip alone, right? Sibo was a fantastic striker, and it wasn't his fault it didn't work. That's all I'm saying.
On Davie's point, Martin, I think if Dessers was our third striker and getting 8 to 10 goals, I think we'd probably accept it. I don't think we accept it when he's meant to be, when he was touted as the main striker we were going for. I think that
again, though, I'll come straight back to you with he never touted himself as that. That was Michael Beale.
I think that's unfortunately put him on, and it's the old manager's fault. That's put him on a pedestal that when he immediately doesn't hit the ground running, the fans turn straight away. And maybe that's wrong, but that's what happens. For the games he's played, yes, he scored 10 goals, whatever. He should really be on 16, 17, 18 goals. He should be putting the numbers in that other strikers are putting in, and he's not. And that's not his fault, but when he's the chances he's getting, he should be getting, like today, he should have had 2 or 3, not just 1.
And by the way, I'm not comparing Dessers to Morelos. There's a few people picked up on that in the comments. I'm not. I'm just comparing the reaction of supporters towards him. If you, I know that the last maybe year or two, opinions changed, and I know that Morelos is now our top ever European goal scorer. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just comparing the reaction to the two, and that was it. Davie, Todd Cantwell. There seems to be a lot of, and I don't know if I've already used this word right, because I only know so many thesaurus-like words, right? Bit of vitriol towards him in the old comments section. A few people not too enamoured with him.
No, and was it yourself that said in the group chat, Martin, that you felt there was a bit of a death stare for him towards the manager when he coming off? I thought I clocked that as well, to be fair. Now, the issue with Todd Cantwell is, he kind of makes a rod for his own back in the terms of, he's one of these sort of new generation players that like to be heavy on the old social media, but you've got to back that up on the park. And again, today, don't get me wrong, the quality of the pitch wouldn't have helped him, but I'm expecting more from him in a Rangers jersey. He's playing against nobody today, and he had the freedom of pitch at times. He has to do better with the ball. He has to do better at bringing people into play, making himself stand out better. He is the one that, has been loud enough to make him sound like he is, or believes that he is our best player. He hasn't showed that, and stats certainly don't back that up for this season. So I think Clement, to me, seems on the fence with him because he's one of the first guys that's regularly substituted now in about 7 or 8 games. Clement takes him off as one of the first 2 players off the park. So, is he an asset? He's still an asset, yes, but we need and we do expect more from him.
Well, Mark Doyle's point and Craig, CGM, Clement would punt Cantwell first chance he got. It's obvious. Is it obvious? Or am I just is that just Cantwell's face when he comes off the park? I don't know.
I think it's Cantwell's face. I don't think if the manager had an issue with Cantwell, he wouldn't be playing. He wouldn't be on the bet. He wouldn't be getting time on the pitch. The fact that he is playing and now he's playing in his natural position as a number 10 tells me that the manager does rate him. I'm going to be honest. I don't want Todd Cantwell coming off the pitch laughing and joking. I want him to be pissed off with coming off the pitch. You want a player to be coming off not happy that he's being substituted. Yes, he hasn't hit the heights this season, and there might be a number of reasons for that. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I don't want him coming off. I want him coming off pissed off.
I mean, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. What do we think of Raskin tonight, Craig?
Okay. Wasn't massively involved in the game. Whether at times the game was probably passing him by, and that might be to do with the pitch and the conditions. But what he did do, he did with ease, and it seemed to me the sort of game where you can tell he's coming back from an injury and he's not really up to speed yet.
Did you go along with that, Davie? I always thought it was going to be a tough game for Raskin on that pitch. Before I realised just how poor the pitch was, because of the way that Raskin likes to play. He likes to get a bit of the park quickly and play nice short passes and stuff like that. I thought, considering he's just coming back from injury, I thought he looked okay.
In the first half, what I noticed as well, his work off the ball was pretty good at retrieving the ball back quick. He was backtracking, and that's something that, last season was certainly, asked questions, but I mean, it's all right to say he was playing against Dumbarton tonight, so it's easy to say that. But for me, that was an encouraging sign. He had some, good sort of moments in and around the final third of the pitch without really creating that, one, key moment, but he was neat and tidy in possession, a good cameo performance coming back, and I think it was sensible game management for Clement, taking him off and sort of preparing him for Wednesday.
I know, and Ange in the comments, you're very welcome. Reacher is really good. I'm not going to put your comment up about what you said, but no, Reacher was very, very, very good. Again, young players. Davie, Ross McCausland for you. I thought again he was busy. I think that's probably one of the hardest games he'll have. And again, I keep coming back to it, and I sound like a broken record. It's one of the hardest games he'll have simply because of that pitch. For me, it's unless you're Matondo, it seems it's really difficult to knock a ball past somebody and run. And he's very quick with his feet, Ross, to skin players. It was always going to be a tricky night for him.
Absolutely, but the chance he created in the first half for Matondo was everything I was wanting for him. I criticised him pre-match because he hasn't been, lifting his head to pick out the cutback, and then right away he must have been listening to me because it's the first thing he done in the match, and it was a great pick out, and obviously shocking finish for Matondo. That's what I like to see. He was industrious, to use that word again. He certainly was, tracking back. I guess the physicality he was up against in the conditions tonight certainly showed it. He looked that he tired maybe when it got to the first 10 minutes of the second half. You can think, oh, he's put a shift in here. You can see he's sort of tiring. He didn't probably get on the ball as much as he would have wanted inside the pitch. There wasn't really space there for him, and that's where he tends to be most dangerous because he's good on either foot, and I think that's where you sort of get the best out of him. But again, a 6 or 7 out of 10 for me tonight. I didn't think he'd done too much wrong.
I'll listen, 100% agree. Craig, was that a penalty? I mean, I know that I'm just asking 2-word questions, 3-word, 4-word questions, and then moving on. But it's the same question every time when it comes to us getting a penalty. I mean, it's not a penalty just because we got it. If Rangers get a penalty, it's not a penalty. So I suppose that's your answer.
At first glance, I thought no, but watching it back, Matondo does get
He gets kicked.
A knee in the back of his leg, which sort of knocks him off balance and takes him down. So yes, by the letter of the law, it's a penalty.
Yeah, Davie, any argument?
No, really. I was just surprised that Alan Muir gave it.
Very true. And look, AMAC saying I look bored. I'm not bored, AMAC, at all. I'm just extremely tired. I'm not sleeping very. I shouldn't be putting this over the airwaves, but I'm not sleeping very well. And I'm really really tired. I don't know how much you can actually comment, Davie, on how good a penalty is, right? But that was a cracking penalty.
His last few have been really good. He had that sort of spell, sort of early November, towards the end of November, where he sort of missed 2 or 3 in the trot, but right in the corner, it's a fantastic penalty kicking, and he's a confidence player, Tav, for me. He always has been. And when his confidence is high, you tend to see the best of him. He's had a slow start to the season, but for me, certainly in an attacking sense, the last month or so, his numbers have doubled from where they were maybe 2 months ago, and he's contributing. He scored a winning goal in a cup final and captained us to the first trophy of the season. So I think it's been a good vein of form for Tav at the moment, and long may it continue.
I know, and then we make subs, right? Silva comes on, Scott Wright comes on. Craig, it's low league opposition, right? And that's why I'm not a massive fan of these type of reactions when you play low league opposition, because if you're too critical, then you get moaned at. And if you're too positive, then you get told, come on, it's lower league opposition, Martin. What are you talking about? Shut up, move on. Fair enough. But we seem to get as it's been said all over social media, and the Scottish Cup final, Scott Wright, when he came on. Serious question, Craig. Right? It's going to be extremely difficult to shift Scott Wright in January. Right? I think this almost verges on impossible, just simply because of the wages that the guy's on. Can Scott Wright do a job in 3, 4, 5, 6 games at the back end of the season to help us? Or is it a case of, no, he's just really not good enough? Because that was his 100th game today, by the way.
I'm kind of on the fence because I generally don't think he's good enough. But at the same time, there are certain games where he probably can do a job. So he probably can come in and do a job in games like today, games at home against teams near the bottom of the league, or come on towards the end and replace McCausland or Matondo. Yes, he come on today. I mean, the only way I can see him going maybe in January or in the summer would be as part of bringing somebody in, so he goes out as long as someone coming in. To be honest, yes, I think he probably can do a job, but that's only because he kind of has to do a job. We haven't really got any other options.
I mean, I don't know, Davie, right? There's something nipping in the back of my head that's going, Scott Wright could do something for us. And I don't know why, right? Because I say there's no evidence. There's a Scottish Cup final, right? But there's just something in the back of my head that goes, he's just got a wee something that we can use. And I realise how bad that sounds, Davie, right? But go with me.
Well, the thing with Scott Wright is if it was going to come, Martin, on a consistent basis, it would have came by now.
I'm not talking about being consistent. I'm talking about in the odd game towards the end of the season. Is he a squad player that we can use? Not somebody who can have a long run in the team.
I subscribe to the fact that I think he's an impact player. That's for me what Scott Wright is. When there's 20 minutes to go in a game and you're looking for somebody to be busy, to introduce a bit of pace and be direct, I don't think everything always comes off for him, but he can make that. But I also think that depends on the quality and the level of the opposition. Does Scott Wright make any impact in Old Firm games? Does he make much impact in European games? Granted, he has got an assist in a European semi-final, but that's a one-off. Scott Wright doesn't do enough for me, and I kind of think
that's my point, though, Davie. That's my point. I'm not talking about Scott Wright playing against Celtic or playing in Europe. I'm talking about, can we use a Scott Wright with 7 or 8 games to go against Ross County at home, against Livingston at home? You know, I'm talking about these games where we're. But if you're looking at players being out injured, right? If you're looking at Sima, right? So Sima's out. So we've got Matondo, we've got McCausland, right? We are playing Hibs on Wednesday. See if we were playing Motherwell at home on Wednesday, right? Do you not think that Scott Wright could do a job for 30, 35 minutes in that game? And the only reason I'm asking this is because we can't get rid of him, and I very much doubt we'll bring in somebody into that position because we simply can't afford to.
That's what I think, Martin. I think we're only going to be relying on him because nobody else wants to take him, and he'll be there and he'll be used, and he's in the European squad because of the Scottish quota. If I was the Rangers manager and I had a list of substitutions, I would be looking at 2 or 3 names first before I look to turn around at Scott Wright and bring him on. For me, it's just not, and I'll counter your argument. You're saying, can you bring him on to impact in games? Well, he was brought on against Aberdeen at home this season, and he gets sent off with 2 yellow cards. So he doesn't make an impact often enough for me. He's no good enough to be a Rangers player. He's actually stole a career being here, as far as I'm concerned, because whilst he might have the odd goal in a big game, he just doesn't do it. For me at all as a Rangers player, he doesn't turn me on as a fan wanting to watch him, and I'd be a bit. I don't want to sound a bit vitriolic towards Scott Wright, but just
don't use my words.
But it's a no from me. I couldn't get him out the club quick enough.
Well, I mean, Mark Doyle was making the point, Davie, look, beggars can't be choosers, and that's what I'm saying. We have got him. We are stuck with him. There is nothing that we can do. So, is there at any point in this season can he be relied on? Well, obviously, we'll have to wait and see. I was a wee bit surprised, Craig, that Bailey Rice never get any minutes tonight. I don't know if that's just the fan in me that wants to see a youngster come through. I say youngster come through. We got him from Motherwell at like 15, right? But that wants to see a youngster break into the first team and get some minutes. But maybe I suppose the manager might be looking at it and going, I don't want him on that pitch. And yes, I'm going to bring up the pitch again.
Yeah, possibly. We spoke before the game and we sort of looked at the subs and I got 3 out of the 5 subs right. I just generally didn't see.
You don't get any prizes for that, by the way. I don't know why you bring that up.
The 2 that came on that I didn't get right, I didn't see the reason why they should play. So Scott Wright was 1 and Barisic. I think that says a lot about who's going to possibly start on Wednesday. The fact that Barisic came on. For me, I would have bought Devine because Devine could have, if you take him Ridvan off, Devine could have come on at left back if need be.
You could have gave the captain a rest and brought Devine on.
Yeah. Bailey Royce should have come on. I don't subscribe to the fact the manager doesn't want them to play because when Ross McCausland was speaking before, these are the sort of pitches that these players have probably played on the last few years. So that would have been, for me, if you can't trust Devine and Royce to come on with 20 minutes to go against Dumbarton, then they're never going to play again this season.
See, I'm not sure I agree with that. I just think you need to take the conditions into account for why maybe Bailey Rice didn't come on. We'll wait and see. Maybe he's just not ready. Maybe we're just too impatient as supporters, and we've seen him. I mean, Billy Gilmore. Remember, Billy Gilmore went to Chelsea and bossed the game against Liverpool, and everybody thought, "Yeah, that's Billy Gilmore. That's him in the team now." And he never got back in it. So we maybe just need to wait and see on that. David, hard to judge Silva for the amount of time he got on the park, but judge away.
Well, the one run that he had, he was very unlucky. Again,
The one run that he had.
No, but what I mean by that is that, the one sort of chance that he had at the end of it, he created it all for himself. I thought his running off the ball was clever. He was getting into key positions. No, everybody was able to find him. I think that the pitch obviously is not going to suit his type of game. I think, when you see a game stretch, for example, and you've got space, like if it's a game where you manage to get an early goal, or it's the last half hour of a game that's tight and it opens up, that's when you're going to see the best of him, because I think he looks at like somebody that's hungry, that wants to run at players, isn't scared to commit players, isn't scared to hide for the ball. He's looking to go on it. He's looking to link the play. I think he's going to be positive. He will need his time to bed in and work out the opposition and hopefully, he's a quick learner, but certainly there was aspects of his game today that I think is positive going forward. And certainly we can't be beggars for choosers at the moment when it comes to attacking players. So hopefully he will be a benefit to us going forward. But early signs are promising.
I mean, I'll bring this comment up, Aldo. Billy Gilmore has been outstanding this season for a very good Brighton team. And then he's added on in Lowry as shit. I don't agree with that, right? But I'm not. That wasn't a goal, Billy Gilmore. He was at Chelsea, and he didn't make it at Chelsea. That's all I was saying. And he came on and he looked really good. So maybe Clement's just thinking there's a few things I want to change in his game before he gets more game time. That was the only point I was making, folks. Please do not jump down my throat. Not much to test him tonight, Craig. But your thoughts on Robbie McCrorie? Fantastic save with his face.
Yes, it was a very good save. And it was a key time because I think, if I remember rightly, it was 0-0. And I saw a few comments online that it was a sort of save where, because we hadn't put chances away, it's a key save at a key time, because that goes in and suddenly nerves start jangling at being 1-0 down to Dumbarton. All in all, he didn't have a lot to do. There was a couple of times where sort of heart in the mouth where the ball comes into the box. I think there was one towards the end of the first half where he sort of comes out and there's a bit of a skirmish in the box, and he sort of jumps on it. But all in all, he did what he had to do.
He did, and I don't suppose really he done himself much harm, David, did he? And again, I have to say it's against Dumbarton, which I hate having to repeat constantly because people just jump down your throat. But he done himself no harm, didn't he?
No, but at the same time, I think he'll be disappointed with the level of goal that we did lose, because surely that's something that we're going to be working on in terms of team shape defensively. And 9 times out of 10, your goalkeeper is your organiser for set plays. And I think we all just fell asleep there for their goal, thinking that the clock was winding down and the end of the game was coming. And all too often, that is the type of goal that we have been losing. And we need to take accountability for this, because, better teams will punish you the more chances you give them. And it is a weakness in our side in terms of a regular occurrence. So it's something that I want to see addressed. Maybe the manager at the moment feels that he doesn't have the type of players to address it. But I will counter that by saying I don't think with Jack Butland in goals, you will see, that happening. I think he is much more commanding, and 9 times out of 10 he'll come to meet the ball if it's within his range, which I think McCrorie's more the type of McGregor, Kloss type goalkeeper that you'll see him stuck to his line more often than not.
Right. So going forward on this podcast, right, if we're just so that people know, if we're ever going to be talking about somebody out with obviously Rangers Football Club, who we maybe dislike or we maybe think is a bit of an idiot. Craig, what are we going to call them?
Dundee.
And Davie, if there's a group of people who we dislike, or we're talking about more than one person, and we think they're a bit of an idiot, what are we going to call them?
It'll be Dundee United then.
Dundee United, there you go. See, JD was in right before you. He was in before. Now, for those of you watching going, what are you talking about? Something came up on my phone today, and it was at QI, the programme QI, the one that Stephen Fry used to do. And there was a Nigerian guy on it, and apparently in Nigeria, the word Dundee means idiot, and a group of idiots is called Dundee United. So, of course, the first thing I done was message my brother and call him a Dundee. To which he replied, Dundee United. so there we go.
Apparently, Joe Aribo is Nigerian for pool cue.
I mean, no comment. Absolutely zero comment on that, by the way. Absolutely zero comment. Right, look, we'll finish up a wee tiny bit of transfer chat, right, before we go. Craig, how are you feeling about what's that, 10, 11 days left of the window? Where we sit right now, how are you feeling about transfers?
I'll be honest, worried, just because we do tend to leave our business right to the very end. You would hope that the people behind the scenes in the club have been working hard, and maybe they have been, to sort of try and get stuff over the line. With that said, though, if we sign a certain striker from Hearts in the next few days, then I'll be over the moon, and all will be forgiven.
Davie? I'm just reading some of the comments.
I'm going to say I have to echo the sentiment for Craig there. I'm worried, and Rangers naturally are very, slow in January at doing business, if any. And, there was one window a couple of years ago where we did zero business. So I don't think it's a want for trying. You're going to hope that Coppin, who is the sort of new director of football transfer business or whatever his title is, is going to pull a rabbit out of the hat somehow. But, whether it's Shanklin, whether it's something absolutely for left field, I'll always remain hopeful. But until they're sitting there with a standard picture at Ibrox or the training centre with their jersey, I'll remain cautious.
By the way, I will just say, Davie, you mentioned that Joe Aribo's nickname was Pool Cue. That was also my nickname growing up. I don't know why, but that was my nickname at all. Right, folks, that will do us for the night. We're back on Monday with the phone-in. The phone-in's back on Monday night at 7:30. Before we go, though, we're sailing towards 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're watching on there and you haven't already, then please do subscribe. And of course, if you haven't already as well, give it a wee like as well over on the old YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, give us a follow, give us a wee retweet, get your comments in on Facebook as well. Give us a follow. What do you call it on Facebook? A share. I probably should be better with my social media terminology by now. So I should. And of course, you can always, if you missed the live show, the next one, because obviously you're watching, then you can download all our stuff on Acast, iTunes, Spotify, whatever else is out there. And I'm just an old man. Whatever else is out there in the ether, you can download it on there as well. So thank you very, very much for all your support. You can join as a member if you want as well. The wee join button below the window. And if you're watching on a phone, it's in the description. And check out our sponsors, NordVPN and Football Prizes. If you use the links in the description, then you are helping to support the podcast. So Craig, thank you very much. Davie, thank you very much. I got a message off of Scott Kerr about 30 minutes ago saying his computer was rebooting. And clearly he's got and what is it? What was the old one? Was it an Amstrad?
Atari.
An Atari. That's it, an Atari. Maybe he's got one of them. So listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If it wasn't for all yous, we wouldn't be here. So thank you very much. And we'll see you on Monday night, 7:30.